Hi, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and I am at the Shawnee Playhouse in Pennsylvania. And I have Mitch here with us. And we're just going to hear from Mitch and all paranormal activities that have been here, and to tell us more about the Playhouse, which is a very beautiful, beautiful place. So I recommend people to come and see it even before you hear all about
Thank you.
it.
Um, so I have worked here personally for 18 years, and the Playhouse was built in 1904 by a man by the name of C.C. Worthington, who also built the historic Shawnee Inn,
Hmm.
but he built the Playhouse first. And it was given as a gift to the community as a place for entertainment and enjoyment. So it was not owned by anyone. Eventually, it's been under the care of the fire company, and they're the trustees of that. So then we have the theater here. There's always been theater here from the very beginning. There's always been some kind of entertainment. Over the years, after Mr. Worthington owned the property, he sold it to Mr. Waring, Fred
Hmm.
Waring and the Pennsylvanians. I'm sure you might be familiar with them. And he recorded right in here his radio show in the 1940s and 50s. And then in the 70s, he sold the property to Carl Hope, who then in turn sold it to the Kirkwood family, who are the current owners,
Right.
and has had a lot of different things go on over the years. It's difficult to, summarize everything. The most important things are there was a fire that burned the whole building to the ground,
Mm.
not the ground underneath. I say that because we had a structural issue I had to repair last year, and I actually got to see all of the original floorboards underneath and
Yeah.
the hand-hewn beams that we used in the floors. And so it was from just this ground level was burnt, and of course the stone remained original. And that was an arson fire in the same time when they were burning the other fires around the area, like the Castle Inn. There were other theatrical fires. It's
Right.
interesting. But they rebuilt it, and as you can see, it feels like you're in a 1904 building. They did a beautiful job of keeping it on the National Registry of Historic Places, and you know, but that's kind of the theatrical story here. We do theater year round. We do community and professional theater. We do children's programs, um, concerts, entertainment, all that stuff. So it's really a family here. It
Hmm.
is, even though we do have some of the most talented professionals in the area performing here, it's really a family, a community of friends and family who get to perform together. So
Wonderful, wonderful. And now you say you've been working here for 18 years?
yes.
And who was it before? Was it like a company or?
No, it's been they actually the man who is the general manager of the hotel of Shawnee Inn, he ran it for a little while. Jerry Durkin ran it for a little while. There's been several different people that were in charge of running the facility, even since the Kirkwoods have owned it.
Okay.
But I have been here, I think, the longest since, well, recent times anyway. And yeah, so when I first started working here, I had never had a job that was like this. I was a professional actress. That's what I did. I did theater, and I would never had a business kind of job. And Mr. Kirkwood at that time was very much like, make sure that the heat is off, make sure the lights are all off, make sure everything is exactly as it should be. And so I was very worried about not doing everything perfectly the way that he wanted it,
Right.
right? Because I was a young woman trying to take over this position.
Hmm.
And so I remember one night very early in my term here as executive director that I'm on the board of the session for the Shawnee Presbyterian Church, which
Hmm.
is right down the road here. And I came by to go to the church and noticed that there was a light on upstairs and the window was wide open. And I was grumbling at who had ever been here during the day and didn't do what they're supposed to do. So I I came in and I shut the lights off and I shut the window. I went to my meeting and I came back down the hill and it was back on. The window was open and the light was back on. And so that happened. That had happened regularly my first few months that I was here until one time I came in and I stood on the stage in the dark. I came through the back door with my key and I said, "Can we please just leave the light off? Because I get yelled at." Not really, but I get like no, reprimanded if you don't have the lights off. So, and I haven't really had much of a problem with that. The windows started coming open again recently. It has been a long time since we've had.
Now, is that the window where there's like a pink
Yeah.
wall? Okay.
Upstairs.
Yep, I realized that when I pulled in, I'm like, that's very interesting there. And it's like somebody showed themselves, but not fully.
So what I have been told, and you are not the first person to come to talk to me about this building. I try not to share a lot before things are shared with me.
Right.
But it's interesting. So what I was told by others is that there's a woman climbing through the window. Like that's why there's a woman coming in and all the time coming in through the window, climbing to get in, because she was having an affair with someone. So she was coming
Well,
through.
it's
But
a
who
woman with
knows?
a bun, and she has, when I just saw her, she had a white blouse up to here with the, flare up type of thing that they used to wear, um, and the big skirt, which was very interesting, seeing a woman climbing out with one of those skirts.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking up, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
No, that's the place at the top of the stairs. It's the women's dressing room now, but that window, that one is always open.
Mm. So that's very interesting. She was actually 18, 19, 20, maybe. She wasn't that old, which was, in those times you were married younger and all that other stuff. So, um, I do feel that there's somebody up there in that little musical section there.
Second chair in,
Yeah. Is
crying.
yes, yes. But it's not crying loud. It's more like that type of thing, like very soft, and you feel like they're just very sad. It isn't like they had a
Heartbroken.
yeah, just very sad, very sad.
So whenever I'm one of the few people that will work in here alone. I do turn all the lights on and I do, I don't like to be here at night necessarily by myself alone. There's a passageway downstairs that I don't like to ever walk through alone at night. But when I'm cleaning here alone, I will often be watched. I will often feel that, and then I'll look or I think I see something, and then I stop and look again, and I don't. Um, but I'm not, I'm not really, not that I'm not a believer in it. I'm not intimidated by it. I'm not turned off by it. I'm not turned on by it. I just kind of live with it, so I don't get spooked usually, and I don't seek it out.
Right.
Also, so
Well, they like you, so
oh,
they're
that's
not
good. Thank you. Glad.
because they're not going to spook you on purpose.
We've had some things happen, over the years. I remember again that in the beginning, before I made peace with the fact that it was happening, and that I would just be like, please just work. A lot of times it's like the electrics don't work for a reason,
Right.
they'll just not work, and then I'll say, please, can they work? But in the booth up there's that little window where we run the tech for the shows. One of my first tech directors, his name was Marshall Haskell. He was here. We were setting lights and running up and down, and we couldn't get something to come on. And we had gone and checked the big breaker. We had gone all around, and after several times of running up and down, I went up to the booth, and on top of the board was the plug laying on top of it.
Oh, wow. Very good.
Yeah. I was like, okay, let's plug it in. Let's but we of course had been up there and it wasn't there.
Right. But that's sometimes the only way they communicate, or it could be that they were replaying their role
Mm-hmm.
when they were around, in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So unplug, plug.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, like that area is there's a lot up there, not just the one that's whipping, crying. There's a few, I would say about 10.
Okay.
And those are the eyes that you feel when you're working over here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like they were part of the theater industry, so they love this place and they're staying here.
I like to watch.
Right. To make sure you're doing your job correctly.
Well, they probably kept me on a ladder a few times. So.
So, there is also right there
Okay.
in that area. Um, is there a way to go down?
That's the area downstairs.
Oh, okay. So that area there.
Right.
Okay, right there. So there's definitely something there. Um,
That's the only thing that doesn't feel positive to me.
no, that there was some malicious stuff going on there.
That's the only thing. Like that's the only time I don't.
I feel like, like they took somebody down there and took care of them, that kind of feeling. So it's not a very positive thing. Um, have you ever thought of having somebody cleanse that area?
No,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. More than welcome to do whatever, whenever you really want. Because that area just needs that negative air to get out. That's it. It's not like they're staying there, but it was a crime committed there.
Oh,
So, I'm I'm feeling more like a murder, like somebody didn't like somebody was doing, and
mm,
they took care of the problem.
wow.
So, but um, definitely negative there. I'm getting a headache, so that usually means definitely something not so good there. Um, Now you said that sometimes lights go on and off and stuff like that. Okay, do they do it while performing?
Sometimes.
Okay. Um, just say, okay, guys, this is how we need the lights to stay on. Okay, because
Like I did when I talked about the window stay.
right,
Like,
they're critiquing the amount of lights.
I gotcha.
So in their view, there was probably too much lighting, but just have fun with it. Uh, Everywhere else except for that area is all positive. They're just here hanging out. There is one that likes to trick you, um, and it's all in jest, not on purpose. Um, you've won their approval,
Oh, that's good. I'm not going anywhere. So,
but you did win their approval, so that's good. Now, has anybody else felt things? And
like I said, nobody wants to be here alone. Like, so whether they acknowledge it or not, my staff, nobody, they all wait for, they don't walk out. They all wait for someone to go, especially at night. We're a night place, so very rarely do people.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, yeah, everybody, I think everyone feels that space downstairs, everyone comments about.
Right.
You have to walk, it's in the costume shop and it's in the old stone, part of the building and you can see in the back of the that area, that's where there's the flames from the fire you see going up against the walls.
Right.
It's still scorched in there.
Right.
It's the only place you can see it in the building is in that place. Um, and so that's on your entrance from the garage. So it's like the entrance from the newer part to the old part. So that might have been an old exit door before, and because it is to the ground level out there,
Right.
because of how the building is built. So it's underground here, but it's on the ground level out there. And yeah, and so we have to walk into that room to go around the corner, turn the lights on. So, and to shut the lights off and then exit. So because it had to have been an entrance.
Yeah.
That's where the lights are.
Right.
Yeah.
And which is probably what I'm thinking why they took somebody out that way and took care of them there. Because they were probably just saying, oh, let's go out this way
Yeah.
and just innocently, the person. I feel it's a he that got taken care of there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, the grave marker that's in the front,
Hmm.
who's that belong to?
That's a memorial for veterans.
Okay.
So no one specifically, to my
Okay.
knowledge.
All right. Because I feel there is, but
Oh,
it could have been the guy who got taken care of. Uh,
yeah.
but I do feel that there is somebody there.
Hmm.
And they usually, if you are around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll be able to see them. They just kind of stand there and look at the building. So, um, so what else can you tell me a little more?
I don't know.
What events are you got coming up?
We have I'm currently directing Calendar Girls. I don't know if you know
Mhm.
that story. It's a British comedy by Tim Firth and based on a true story where a woman, her husband dies of leukemia, and so she and her friends decide to do a nude calendar
Mhm.
to raise money, and it's very funny and heartbreaking, wonderful. That runs most of the month of May
Okay.
here, and then we're in rehearsal for MAME.
Mhm.
And then we have Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat this summer, as well as Little Mermaid,
Yeah.
SpongeBob for the kids. A
Oh,
lot of
I'm
stuff.
coming for the movie Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
So it runs like one play a month or
Yeah, kind of. We do the like when we're doing MAME, we also have Little Mermaid. So we do the
okay.
adult and the children's show at the same time. They run for about 4 weeks.
Okay. All right. And how can people contact you or the theater to get tickets to find out what's going on?
I would say go to the website at shawneeplayhouse.org
Okay.
and get all the information there.
All
It's
right. And Shawnee, like it's spelled on the sign over here.
house. Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
There's a lot of have you done um have you walked around other areas here on the properties?
We did a couple of years back the actual Shawnee.
The hotel,
Yeah.
the woman in white.
The woman in white, yes. Who didn't like him.
Oh, on the staircase.
Well, he walked right in front of her room.
Oh.
So, yeah, she was not in.
What about the church?
We have not done the church yet, but yeah, I have driven around, but not gone in yet. So,
The church is interesting because um the church, I know a lot about the church. I know a lot about the history of the whole area because I do programs for different groups that I'm in charge of. Talk about the entire history. So,
okay.
um,
So go ahead.
the church is the oldest church in Monroe County. It was built in 1752.
Nice.
And it has buried in the cemetery Revolutionary War, French and Indian War,
Mm,
um, you know, Vietnam War, all the above. There's a section where there's unmarked graves.
mm,
That is, we're not exactly sure, who is buried there. Fred Waring's buried there.
mhm.
There's a lot of interesting things. But when they rebuilt the church because it was too small, when they expanded the church
Right.
in 1853, they did not move the graves. They just expanded the church over the graves. So the wall at the back of the church has the graves in the back wall.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a very interesting cemetery. That's why I was asking if you had been there.
Not yet, but
You might want to.
okay.
That's
Definitely.
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So they built with the graves inside basically the church.
Yeah, so they're in the back wall. So you
Okay.
see in the bricks,
Mm-hmm.
the gravestones are all the headstones are in the back wall
Okay.
of Nicholas Depew, the first settler in the county, the first
Okay.
his family.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Hmm.
I can't imagine who would think of that. Uh,
Well, they didn't want to desecrate the big graves and move them. So I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't know. I don't know.
I think I would have chosen to move them.
Or maybe not expand the church in that way.
Or maybe not.
Maybe expand it a different way.
Yes, yes.
Maybe.
Maybe.
There's a way.
Uh, you know, it's just,
I forgot I wasn't there.
yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. So, you know, this is a very beautiful building. You could feel the energy is a very calming energy, even with all the residents in it. So as far as I'm concerned, this place is a great place to come in, have fun. I hear the laughters from a long time ago. I feel the like the families. Um, I do see one or two um, men with not their wives, if that makes sense. Because there's usually there's a husband and wife. There's usually like a cord, basically energetic cord that were not energetically corded. So I could that was probably one of the ones that escaped.
Yeah.
But it is a gorgeous place, and I cannot wait to come back and see some of these plays. Um, so thank you,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
I'm trying to think of anything else that I should tell you, but um, no, we tried to do a, we've tried to have people come through and kind of just sit here in the dark sometimes and see what they feel too, and not it's varied what you're open to, what people can find, but
Hmm.
there was when the fire happened, there was a woman and a young child that was living here in the building, living upstairs, and that was an apartment at that time.
Right.
But they were not here during the fire. Like they were physically in the building. I'm trying to think if there's
I
anything
think they
else.
were meant to be killed.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm getting chills here, so it's usually a confirmation
yeah.
that they were meant to be killed for some reason. You know, in those times, women was just property, and
Right.
basically, if you did not have a man to represent you, you were basically for grabs.
Right.
So now there is a child right there that's about 5 years old, 5, 6 years old, and she sits there quietly watching everybody rehearse. It's like he enjoyed it when he was alive and came, but he died of some illness. So he comes back, and you'll see him more like in July and August, because I think that's around his birthday time, which is where he he was brought here to as a birthday gift.
Okay.
Okay, and it's kind of like that very not that very last seat, a little further up. The third row from the back, the end seat. It's like I could see him right there. Um, he has like lighter hair, not blonde, but light brown hair. Um, he's dressed in those little shorts. Um, kind of looks like suspenders. Very well dressed for a little boy, for to come just dress up clothes to come to. And it looks like it was like in a Sunday. So Sundays he'll be here more than other days. Mm. Starts with a J, but the name, but I hear Jimmy, but I'm not sure of that. But it does start with a J. So might be able to, who
Mm.
knows if you have any records or whatever, but there was a little boy right there.
Mm.
Who comes area so often, like I said, to watch you guys practice and rehearse.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, but again, give us your information where people could find you, and then this way, who knows? There's a lot of people who come to Pennsylvania in this
Yeah,
area, right?
yeah,
To vacation, and really easy to come to get to. Um, Not that far from the mountains, guys. You could come to the Shawnee Inn and then come here.
mhm,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The tickets are on our website at theshawneeplayhouse.com or shawneeplayhouse.org. Yeah. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right, guys. See you. Enjoy yourselves. Be blessed and come and see.